Zara held the watch tight, staring at Ayaan. The faint glow beneath the cracked glass seemed to pulse in a slow, steady rhythm, one that mirrored the beat of his heart. She could almost feel the thrumming against her own skin. "Ayaan," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the sudden quiet of their apartment. "I think it's connected to you now." Ayaan blinked, a storm of confusion and raw fear swirling in his eyes. He instinctively took a step back, as if creating distance could sever the invisible tether. "Connected? How? I didn't even touch it again." Zara shook her head, her fingers trembling as she clutched the strange artifact. "It's not about touching anymore," she explained, her gaze fixed on the pulsing light. "It's about the first change, the moment you used it. The watch? It chose you." Ayaan's lips parted, but no sound came out. The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. "Chose me?" He finally managed, his voice quivering. "Chose me for what?" He stood frozen, rooted to the spot, as if the question itself had chained him there. Before Zara could even begin to form an answer, the watch's ticking resumed not the frantic rhythm of before, but a slow, deliberate, almost menacing beat. The world outside their window froze once more, but this time the silence was broken. Low, urgent whispers echoed through the still air. A chorus of disembodied voices speaking at once, their words indistinct but their intent palpable. Zara's instincts screamed at her. She grabbed Ayaan's hand, her grip firm. "We need to go outside," she said, her voice filled with a new steely resolve. "We have to understand what's happening." The street was a living photograph, a moment of bustling life frozen in mid-motion. A man with a briefcase was caught mid-stride, one foot hovering inches above the pavement. A dog leaped joyfully toward a bright red ball that now hung suspended in the air. Zara's eyes widened in horror. "This is worse than before," she breathed, her breath fogging in the strangely cold air. "Time, it's unstable." Ayaan's terrified gaze was locked on the watch, now in Zara's hand. I feel it in me," he said, his voice a strained whisper. He pressed a hand to his chest. "Like something is moving inside. My heart, it's sinking with it." Zara swallowed hard against a lump of fear in her throat. "We need to be careful," she warned, her eyes scanning the eerie, silent street. "Whatever this is, it's stronger than us." Her words were punctuated by a sudden, impossible movement. At the edge of her vision, a shadow detached itself from the wall of a building. Zara froze, her heart hammering against her ribs. The frozen world seemed to bend and warp around a shape that solidified near the corner, a tall, slender figure cloaked in dark, tattered robes. It was perfectly still, yet she could feel its presence like a physical weight, heavy and suffocating with danger. She gasped, a small choked sound. "What? Who is that?" The figure didn't move, but its eyes, 2 points of faint, malevolent light, seemed to burn through the gloom, fixing directly on her brother. Ayaan stumbled backward, his face pale with terror. "It's watching me," he whispered, his voice trembling. Zara's training, years of looking out for her younger sibling, kicked in. She placed a firm, steadying hand on his shoulder. "Don't panic," she commanded in a low, urgent tone. "Don't react." But the watch had other ideas. It began to vibrate violently in Zara's hand, the erratic motion jarring her to the bone. The glow under the crack intensified, pulsing with a furious light. The whispers grew louder, swirling around them like a vortex of sound. Zara instinctively clutched Ayaan's wrist, trying to ground him. "Ayaan, focus on me." "You're stronger than it thinks." He squeezed his eyes shut, his jaw clenched as he fought for control. The light seemed to bleed from the watch, not onto the ground, but into his very being, flowing up his arm and concentrating in his chest, like a fire desperate to break free. "I can't control it," he shouted, his voice cracking with strain. "It's too strong." Zara dropped to her knees in front of him, forcing him to meet her gaze. "You have to." "I know you can," she pleaded, her voice a mixture of desperation and unwavering belief. "Remember what we promised, we protect each other. We survive together." Ayaan took a deep, shaky breath, his chest heaving. The glow inside him pulsed faster and faster, then suddenly shot upward, erupting from his body to form a thin, transparent barrier of shimmering energy that encapsulated them both. The robed figure recoiled, its form wavering for a split second as if repelled by an unseen force. Zara's heart pounded with a surge of adrenaline and awe. Ayan's eyes snapped open, wide with disbelief. I didn't know I could," he stammered, looking at the shimmering dome around them. The watch's ticking slowed, becoming almost thoughtful, contemplative. Then, a new voice, impossibly clear and sharp, cut through the whispers, speaking directly into their minds. "Choice defines power. Protect or lose." Zara looked from the shield back to Ayan, her mind racing. "We can't just defend," she said, the pieces clicking into place. "We have to learn it. You need to control it. You're the key now." He nodded slowly. "I'll try." The robed man with the glowing eyes began to shift, its movements jerky and unnatural, breaking the laws of the paused reality. Ayan's shield wavered under the renewed pressure. "It's breaking through," he cried, his concentration faltering. Acting on pure instinct, Zara grabbed a nearby metal trash can and with a guttural yell hurled it at the figure. The can flew a few feet and then froze mid-air, stopped by the same temporal field that held the shadow at bay. "Good," she shouted, turning back to him. "Keep focusing." A sudden, violent pulse of energy erupted from the watch, knocking them both off their feet. They hit the pavement hard as the street itself shook. Cracks spider-webbed across the asphalt, glowing with a faint blue light, as if the very fabric of time was tearing apart. Ayaan struggled to push himself up, his arms trembling. She scrambled to his side, placing a hand on his chest. She could feel the fire of the watch there, a raging inferno perfectly synced with his frantic heartbeat. "Then we end this fast," she declared, her voice ringing with conviction. "Let's make it flee." The shadow advanced again, its form gliding over the cracked pavement. Ayaan staggered to his feet and raised his hands, a desperate final gamble. The glow in his chest expanded outward, no longer a shield but a blinding wave of pure, white-hot energy. The shadow shrieked, its silent scream tearing through their thoughts as it bent backward, its form distorting as if reality itself was rejecting its presence. Then, in a sudden, blinding flash, it vanished. Zara blinked, spots dancing in her vision. It's gone," she gasped, the silence that followed more jarring than the chaos. Ayaan dropped to his knees, utterly exhausted, the light fading from him. He looked up at her, his eyes filled with a new, deeper horror. "But it felt like it knew me. Like it remembered everything." Zara pulled him to his feet, supporting his weight. "We can't let anyone or anything control it again." Ayan's gaze fell to the watch in her hand. Faint, silvery sparks now flickered along the new lines, like miniature lightning strikes. "Zara, what if it's alive?" he whispered, the question hanging between them, more terrifying than the creature they had just faced. Zara shivered, a cold dread seeping into her bones that had nothing to do with the frozen air. "And it's only going to get worse." Around them, time slowly, tentatively began to flow again. The man with the briefcase completed his step. The dog's leap ended in a happy bark as it caught the ball. But the shadow's warning, its psychic screen, lingered in the air like a stain. And the watch, pulsing faintly in Zara's hand, seemed to whisper a silent, terrifying promise. "The game has only just begun.